So my name's Peter Linda James, founder and CEO of Shalom House in Perth, West Australia. I actually often get asked lots of questions. How much does it cost to stay in Shalom and how can they afford it? Well, it actually costs $300 per week, per person. But we say if you want to come in Shalom, you need 2 weeks rent in advance, which is $700. And I bet you're wondering, well, you just said $300. Yeah, well, it's $700. It's $300, 2 weeks rent in advance, and often you need $50 a week spending money for the first couple of weeks. So we say 2 weeks rent in advance, $700. If you haven't got the $700, hey, you can't come in here. Sorry. We're self-funded rehab, 100% self-funded. We run on the smell of an oily rag. We don't tell people that we're broke, but we run on nothing, and we can't afford to take in everybody who can't afford to pay at least 2 weeks rent in advance. And so often family members have to fork out the 2 weeks rent in advance. But because of who we are, we've actually got an exceptionally good reputation. We are known as the strictest rehabilitation centre in Australia. I don't put up with any crap. No smoking, no swearing, a whole heap of stuff. We're really strict. But I'll just give you a quick bit of a drawing on the whiteboard to give you an understanding of how it works. So if I was to draw a line in here, let's just say this is the day that you first come into Shalom. We say, hey, this is your time in Shalom. This could be your exit. This is where you start. If you give me 2 weeks rent in advance, $700, that puts you 2 weeks rent in advance. The first thing we do is we actually focus on getting you 100 points of ID. And then we want to get you on Centrelink. Now, Centrelink was set up by our government for people in short term, and I emphasise the need, or the word short term. Centrelink was set up for people in short term needs of crisis, not for people to live off and to use and abuse. We actually get everybody here off of Centrelink within 4 months. Everybody off within 4 months. And that's what Centrelink was set up for people in short term needs of crisis, not to be abused. And many people are abusing, and that's not okay. But we need Centrelink for the first 4 months of our program, and then after that we have them off Centrelink and they're actually earning their own income, paying their own way. So often a family member will have to pay that $700. I'm really strict. You class addiction in 5 categories: an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E, but there's 3 types of E's. I only take in 1 type of E, and I screen them really well. It's hard to get in here. I don't just take anybody in. So if a person ends up making the grade and they get into Shalom House, I charge them the 2 weeks rent in advance. It's $700. By the time they get actually to the 3-month stage in the program, they're in debt $1,000. They owe me, us, Shalom House, West Australian Shalom Group Incorporated, $1,000. But because they've been on Centrelink between here and this 3-month stage, they've earned 1,000 working credits. At the 2-month stage of the program, they sit with the directions officer, and the directions officer actually asks them, what would you like to do with your life? Would you like to be a boilermaker, a tiler, a painter, a carpenter, a tree lopper? Would you like to be a gardener, or maybe even a movie star like Jordan Little? And so depending on what it is they come up with, what we do, or our employment or directions officer, he actually tries to find an employer, and we interview employers where we can actually place that person with that employer. So at the 3-month stage, depending if they tick the box, we actually place them with the employer on the same page as the rehab. He starts paid work. This part here is a 4-month stage of the program. Here is what we would call stage 2. Here is what we would call stage 1. Stage 1 to 2, we equip them. Everything they need to actually put into practice if they're living life in the world. In stage 2, we actually start getting them 2 days a week paid work with an employer on the same page as the rehab, and 100% of the funds that they earn at that paid work goes to them. And we use those funds to get them 100% debt free. Now they start at the paid work, and because of the paid work at the 3-month stage, normally by the 4-month stage here, they declared all their money to Centrelink, and by declaring all the money to the Centrelink, they've used up their 1,000 working credits. Not only that, by the 4-month stage, they've paid us back our $1,000. Isn't that pretty cool? And then the first $700 they earn, we make sure that they pay back mum or dad, brother or sister, uncle or auntie, whoever it was that actually had to pay them to get in here in the first place. They are where they are because of the decisions that they have made. I don't think it's okay for us as taxpayers to pay for another person's stupidity. They're the ones that stuck the pick in their arm. They're the ones that smoked the pipe or popped the pill. They're the ones that abuse drugs and substances and alcohol. How dare they, willfully of their own choice, have all that party time and then hit the brick wall and saying, hey, you, the taxpayer, pay for my stupidity. Get real. And we've developed a program that puts 100% responsibility for the entirety of their rehabilitation on them. It costs the taxpayer nothing except the 4 months on Centrelink, which is what Centrelink was provided for. I don't mind paying towards a person's rehabilitation for 4 months as a taxpayer, but I don't think that I should actually pay for the entirety of it. And what happens after that, all the money they earn we use as they go through the various stages from 1, 3 to 5, we use to get out of debt. They increase from 2 days to 3, 3 days to 4 as they move through the stages. So it costs basically $700. But you've got to remember, we draw a line in the sand when they first come in here. And when we draw a line in the sand, we've actually got to find out what it is we're working with. And I'll show you that in a future video.